Hey guys, so today we're going to go off the beaten path and we're going to talk about something else, something very personal to me. It's not anything like that. It is an art project, two parts, or one part art, one part science project that I've been doing for probably the past 6 years. Who's counting? I should be. So what I do, or what I've been doing, is shooting glass bottles with a gun and setting it up in front of a canvas. This kind of hit me when I was coming out of high school and I was still trying to figure out stuff that I like doing. Weird. I found I was having a hard time really accepting that you can only be good at art, or that you should only do art if you're the best, and also photorealistic, and I am neither of those. So I decided that I am at least going to have fun with it. So I decided to marry my two passions of creating things and shooting a gun, I guess, and started this. I don't really have a name for it. I've called it ballistic painting. I've tried other names, and none of them really fit. Still just called it shooting a canvas, bottle with a gun and seeing what happens. Again, it's one part like an artistic endeavor, and another one just like seeing if different cartridges do different things, and different barrel length and diameter, and all that other stuff. And I've been writing down the results as I've been going, and I still have not many results. So the one I showed earlier is one of my earlier works. It was made with a 12-gauge shotgun, particularly with birdshot. If you're not familiar, birdshot is, instead of it being about 8 to 16 larger pellets that have more momentum to take down a larger target. If you're hunting, it's probably going to be a deer, but this one is a bunch of small ones that pattern out to allow, or give you better options of hitting the bird that's likely flying away from you, because it is scaled. So you notice like there's a big hole in this canvas that you can see what's behind me. If you look here, you'll see the secret clue for today's video. Anyway, I don't care too much about it being destroyed. I'm aiming a gun at a canvas, and like rule number 3 is don't aim something that you don't expect to destroy. So many people have tried to give suggestions in the past. They're just like, hey, well, why don't you just set the bottle like on top of it, or set it offset or something like that. Yes, I have considered that. I've been playing around with some of the results, and I will show you some of them. But by and large, I found that this gives the more interesting pattern, and I'm still going for interesting, or trying to hit interesting. Let's go with that. Y'all tell me if it's interesting, because I think it's interesting. And now I've said it so many times, the word interesting means nothing to me anymore. Nothing! 12 gauge, this is before I even recorded what kind of gun I used. I would hazard a guess it was my 1897, but also at the same time, I'm not sure if I had bought that yet, so it could have been one of my dad's hunting shotguns. These have kind of a tactile effect to them. Maybe we can show it. You'll notice that there are lumps all over it. That is because I'm doing this outdoors. I'm shooting it and it's glass. So needless to say, don't get too friendly with the canvas if you decide to get friendly with the canvas. Don't. You know what I mean. So I wanted to keep them because like I feel like that gives it a more genuine, like a real, gives it some flavor. Like, tasty, good flavor. No, if there's like, I've had some examples of like a really big shard of glass sticking completely perpendicularly out. I'll take those out just because safety, and also I have to store these too, and I have to keep in mind that I don't want to up in a box and just have a bunch of glass come out. So it is something I have to consider. So I'm going to show a couple more examples. I'll show you this one, even though I don't really like it. Whoa! Whoops. Did I say that out loud? I don't really like this one for a multitude of reasons. It's, I kind of played around. This is the first one I tried to stretch the canvas myself. It's actually on an old, like, screen that's, it came from so my dad's a contractor, and sometimes he comes back with a trailer full of stuff, like from either demoing a job or whatever, and sometimes I pick through them to get raw materials out, and this frame is one of them, and also the canvas was too. The canvas I don't hate. Frame, however, is weird, and I didn't do a really good job stretching this at all in the least bit. And also the hanging wire is busted, so whatever. I couldn't even tell you what I used for this one, but I did use multiple paint colors on this one. It looks like I've got some purple, some pink, some deep maroon, and I've got a little bit of yellow flaked in here too, and I could not, for the life of me, tell you what I shot this with. I'm guessing a revolver, probably 38, some 22 is in here as well. I don't know what this bigger cartridge is, but yeah, this is one that's not my favorite, but I still keep it around. If I could hang it, I'd like it more probably. Here is one of my later ones. I did this with my Glock. I have a Glock 19, so needless to say it's 9x19 millimeter. And I did this with tempera paint because I got it for cheap, and admittedly, tempera paint's not that good, and I found that out. But anyway, this is what I got from one of those. See, I try to get at least one shot in there. because ideally, you know, you hit it on the first shot. And for the most part, I am setting up the bottle about this far away from the canvas, and obviously, like, again, like, here, let's bring this up. The bottles were the same shape. I used Coke bottles primarily. Coke, or for the longest time it was Coke, because I couldn't get my hands on beer bottles because my parents didn't drink and I wasn't old enough to drink, and I was responsible. I also don't like beer, so I don't really have many of those bottles laying around. But as you can see, like, I'm still figuring out what exactly causes this to be different, other than, I guess, chaos theory or something. But, so there is more, like, powder and pressure coming out of a shotgun, but also shotguns are pretty characteristically low pressure, but there's a huge, like, since there's more pellets and stuff like that, is that why this is so dramatic? Is there only, this is F&J, and only has one, it's not, it doesn't, it goes straight through the bottle, it doesn't, like, morph or anything like that. Is this why this happened? I actually do believe that it broke in half and, like, the top spun, and that is why this happened. It kind of looks like a weird stretched out dog to me, this little bottom part, but that's one with my Glock. I actually have a few with my Glock. But one of the cartridges I like to shoot with the most is 38. Yeah, 38 revolver. Oh, this one's a cool one. So this one's actually with a Swiss K31 rifle. It's a straight pull bolt action rifle. It was I believe it was the rifle of choice for the Swiss military throughout World War II and such like that. Somebody will correct me, I'm sure. If Cody does watch this episode, he'll correct me, but because it was his rifle. So this one's actually like a rifle cartridge. It's a pretty heavy, a lot of power downrange. It's full length. And as you can see, the paint's kind of all over it. I do have one more that I can show specifically that's a full-length rifle cartridge as a result. This one was done with my Mosin Nagant when I had it. Mosin Nagant is also the Russia's rifle of choice from 1891 up to whenever the AK was made, sub-50s. And as you can tell, I did it with black, and this doesn't make a very interesting painting to me because it's just black all over. Like, I guess now that there's some age on it, you can kind of tell, like, the values change in and out. If I can get some light, like, some of the black is deeper and thicker, and the rest of it's kind of splattered out. So it's more interesting now, I think, with some, after a few years. Here's one of those big old pieces of glass I don't even think that's for this painting, actually. It's just, no, it's stuck in there. So yeah, like, I like to do, sometimes you can tell, since I do a lot of these in a row normally, because it's literally just set up, shoot, and I'm good, sometimes they'll fall over, or like the paint from earlier paintings will get on some, and you can tell, like, that's not the color I was working with, obviously, so, whoopsie! 8mm Mauser tends to be a kind of a heavier cartridge, especially out of a bolt gun, and a very long barrel is at that. I couldn't even tell you which part's the top and which part's the bottom. Like, I kept it for records, but as you can tell, this is not a very interesting painting. It just broke it. I used to have one that I made with the same rifle, and it made an interesting result, but anytime I've tried to recreate them, it's just absolutely demolished the frame as a result, and I can't really do much with it, unfortunately. So I've actually retired the firearm from painting ever again. Oh well, you know. So one of my older pieces that I've kind of liked, I'm not sure why this one kind of did this, because of the fact that I'm guessing it was old paint. I was using a lot of old house paint at the time because that was what was around the house. And this is with a 410 shotgun, so kind of a smaller, low power. And it almost poured the paint onto it as opposed to like, blow, splattered on it. It kind of like the bottle tipped over and it just made this tree-looking thing. It's pretty cool, I think, but I'm still like kind of hung up on like, why did the yellow do that? This is what I really like about this project, or that I've been doing, is that by and large, you know, I have a general idea what will happen, but each painting is going to be different, and I really like that. It forces them to be unique. Even though I'm trying my best to, like, okay, I'm going to try to make two of these be exactly alike or really close alike or anything like that, but when it comes down to it, I'm still finding details of, even though I've had the same bottle, same amount of paint, same amount of this, that I've been having a hard time recreating results. So I've been kind of playing around with the mix of paint. Like, I've started doing acrylic washes as opposed to honest-to-God paint. I've found that if you thin it out with water a little bit, the paint moves a little bit better and gives a pretty interesting coverage. Speaking of that coverage, here's one that I did with an acrylic wash. Lord, I can't remember what I used for this, but I do have a video. I usually record video of me shooting. I might have put up some of that footage after this video, of course, but this is one I did with an acrylic wash. And, like, while I just said, like, when paint is mostly covering up the canvas, this is actually a canvas board, but when paint is covering the canvas, it makes it sort of not interesting if the values aren't any different. But if you can tell, like, the values changed throughout here. Like, it's very watercolor reminiscent, and I really like it. I think I named this one, like, Trees or Forest or something like that, because it was very reminiscent of a forest to me. I did put this in a competition at school in my undergrad, and I didn't win. I actually didn't even get acknowledged or accepted in. Though my professors did say they liked it, but I also had a lot of stiff competition. A lot of the people there were super talented, so I can't say much about that. Now, speaking of the mystery of, like, sometimes I don't know what the results are going to be, this one still baffles me, and I have slow motion footage of this working, or this painting being made. So as I've shown every single example, from some that I hit it in the first shot, and there's one bullet hole into it, and then there's the opposite of, like, I shot it once, hit it, and then the entire thing exploded. I have one canvas that I shot directly, and I have no bullet hole. I shot this directly. Bang, like straight at it. And there's slow motion footage. I will link the video in the description because the buddy of mine who recorded it put it on his YouTube channel. And you can see the paint, the bottle blasting, and then, like, all the paint going over the canvas, but there's no hole. I'm doing it this way so you can see the light come through, but, like, nothing. I did this with a .22 long rifle cartridge out of a revolver, a single action revolver, 4-inch barrel, but where's the bullet hole? I don't know. As a result, this one's actually one of my favorites, mainly because, like, it does give me that it's not destroyed. Even though I like that, this one makes it easier to hang because I know the Constitution is just fine and it won't fall apart when I hang it up. But it's also kind of my white whale, and how did this happen? Like, we have slow-mo footage, but not slow enough mo for bullets. Those tend to go a little fast. But when I'm painting, sometimes I have slow-motion footage of this one too. Let's see, this is a .22 long rifle as well. Out of a longer barrel. Actually, I could show some of these results. So, this is .22 long rifle. That's generally what people mean when they mean .22, like the cartridge. This is out of a 4-inch barrel. It was out of a handgun. Ta-da! So this is .22 out of a 16-inch barrel. It was with one of my Henry rifles. And it's also with tempera paint, but this is 16 inches as opposed to 4. And I'm trying to see if size matters. Or is it really what you do with it? So as a comparison, this is with a 21-inch barrel out of a different .22 rifle. And the horizontal line in the top is, you'll see, it's in the same video that I was mentioning earlier about the slow-mo, that this canvas fell down and hit the bar that was sitting here, so that's why that's there. But as you can tell, like, the patterns are different in all of them, even though it's the same cartridge. It's the same pressure cartridge, the same everything like that. I guess the only difference is 2 of these are semi-auto, 1 of these is a single-action revolver, and all of them have a different splattering pattern, or splattering, if you will. So again, like, I'm still figuring this out, but this video might be getting on a little long. I do have some footage of me shooting and my experiments as a result, so I will probably be cutting those down and put them in a parallel video that will come out alongside this one. But this is part of my project that I've been going on for a while, and I've actually been considering starting selling some of these. I've been actually saying that for a long time, but now I'm thinking about actually going through with it. So if anybody's interested in these, I'll put, like, a link to them in the description, be them on eBay or, you know, if I actually make an Etsy or something like that, that's where they'll go. But, you know, I think I'll actually end off with this. I still have a ton of paintings. I can keep talking, but this video is going to get really long, and I don't want to edit it anymore than I have to, because Movie Maker is a fun and easy-to-use program that always works all the time and has no problems. Nope. Anyway, so if you like what I'm doing here, please like and subscribe. I've heard that there's a bell that you can click that'll notify you whenever I make a new video. sure, click it. I turn them off on all of my channels that I follow, so I don't expect anybody else to do it for me. So I think that's only fair. But let's see. If you want to follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, or Twitter, those are the 3 I'm allowing people to follow me on. But I'll leave those in the description down below. My brother and I have started a podcast. I say started, we're on our 6th episode, actually. It is Monday, so we just released a new one. And we talk about bathroom etiquette, or really just technology in bathrooms, and I think we talk about books for a little while too. But yeah, no, it's features my brother and me, not to be confused with my brother and me, don't sue us. But I hope they want, the McElroys are great. But anyway, yeah, that's and I'll leave the links, the link to our page. I'll leave, we're available on Google Play and iTunes. We're called Ketchup with Crab Legs. And yeah, give us a listen, or don't. That's okay. I don't mind. I would like it, but whatever. And yeah, that's all I have. Thank you for watching, and sorry that I started being inconsistent with my release date. Depression's a bitch. Whatever. But no, I'm just kidding. Thank you very much for the continued support. I'll see you in the next video. See ya!